are starting our 7th class of our Friday morning acrylics class, and we're doing a project, starting a new project today called The Written Page, and it's after painting by, or actually a series of paintings by Ginny Cabaret. I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but so it's called The Written Page, and we're going to start, we're going to start with a part that is only going to be used in this at the very end, but we're starting with it first because it takes a lot of drawing time, and that's making a little notebook with a key on it, and it looks like it's leather. It's not leather, it is a paper bag, but I'm going to show you how to make leather out of a paper bag, and then we have to let it dry quite a bit, then we'll go on to the main part of the painting. So I'm going to take the camera down to the table so you can kind of see what I'm doing with this. Okay, my camera and the class glitched, so I missed this part of the demonstration. And as you see, so I'm doing this at home. And as you see, I have a piece of brown paper bag, just plain old brown paper bag from the grocery store. And what you do with this is crumple it. Real tight. You want lots of wrinkles in this. And when you take it apart, you have to be a little careful that you don't rip it because it's a little delicate. So just be careful. Try not to rip it. And then you take it all apart and then you crumple it again. Okay. So we're getting more wrinkles, different wrinkles in the paper bag now. And then we're going to crumple it one more time. So we get a whole variety of wrinkles in this bag. Now this is a part that I omitted in my class, and actually it did work out. Most people's came out just fine, but this is a part of the process. So what you need to do is spray it with water. And wrinkle it again. And so all that water gets all the way through there. Now I'm going to open it up, and I have this very wrinkled paper bag, which doesn't look much like leather at this point, but it will get there. And I'm going to add, there's a variety of different things you can use for this, and I'm going to use soft gel, and that can be a matte gel or a gloss gel. It really doesn't matter. It'll come out good either way. But I'm going to put that on here. Now there is another option of something you can do. You can use hair conditioner on this. And I've even heard people use hand cream. So a variety of different ways of doing this. But I am using the gel gloss. So I'm going to put it all around the surface. Spread it kind of evenly. And this doesn't have to be very thick at this point. It's just a thin coating of this. So I'm going to take some of this off because it doesn't have to be too thick. We don't want to waste it. But I do want to get it all over the surface, and I see an area right down here where I haven't gotten very much, so I'll add some into that area. And it looks a little whitish when you put it on, but as it dries clear. So you don't have to worry about that. Now this is part of the drying time. You have to dry it before you go on to the next step. And you can use a hair dryer, that would be fine, or you can air dry it if you have the time in between to spend doing this. So I'm going to just let it air dry right now and go back to the classroom section. I think the camera was back on for the next section of this. Okay, so after you've dried your leather, then you want to put on some neutral colors, you know, the color that leather would be. And I've got red iron oxide. And start with the lighter of the two first. And just paint over the whole surface. And you want to let some of this lighter color show through when you put the second color on. I have to get some water. Okay. So I've got the red iron oxide on here, and then I'm going over it with Payne's Gray, and it makes kind of a leathery look. And I don't want to cover up all the red iron oxide. I want it to show through in places. And you can kind of tip it, let it dribble. And then, again, you have to dry it. Okay, now we've dried the paper with the gel on it and the paint on it. Now what we're going to do for the last step on this before we put it aside and let it dry is put a really good thick coating of gel over it. And I'm suggesting, I asked you to bring a bowl scraper, and I'm going to suggest that you do it with that. And this one, I said last time you left it pretty thin. This time it's going to be pretty thick. Make sure it's over the make sure it goes to the edges, but you're probably going to be cutting what you're using out of the middle of this anyway. So it probably isn't that important. Okay, and then put this aside to dry. We're going to get back to it later, but we're going on to the canvas. And what I want you to do with the canvas is take your writing, your journal writing or your letter, and put it right in the middle of the canvas and draw a square around it. So that this is the composition we're using. It's a square within a square, and it is a very accepted composition for paintings. So, and then what we're going to do next is take pieces of newspaper collage material and start putting that around the outside of that square and hooking it down with matte medium. And when you put these on, leave space. I think newspapers work well with this since it is the written page, but you wouldn't want to have just newspaper. And so leave space around the pieces of, cut them out in squares or rectangles, and leave space between it because you're going to put something else between it. So you don't completely cover this area with the collage material, but just space it around this area. Put matte medium under it and over it, because that makes it archival. Now we've got the collage material down on this, and I've left lots of space around it. And what we're going to do is fill in that space with texture, okay? And the texture, this is something that's new to me. We're mixing gesso and joint compound. And I didn't ask you guys to get joint compound. I got it, and there's plenty here for all of us, you know. So I had to go to Home Depot and get this. And you mix it together. And then apply it to your painting around the collage material. And it can get messy and get on top of the collage material. You want to leave the middle square open still for your journal page. But you can go around it, and you can kind of be messy and get into some of the collage material. You can even cover up some of the collage material if you want to. Doesn't really matter. And I've never used joint compound before. That's what the artist recommended. So I'm going to see how that works. And then when you get a good amount on, I wouldn't go around the whole thing, but scrape into it. Make lines in it. Use bubble wrap to go into it. And there's two different kinds of bubble wrap over there. So you're getting texture into it. Make lines. So this is going to be a very textured piece when you get finished.
And use your palette knife. Probably works best for applying it.
I think so. Yeah. Okay. And then we're going to have to, this is really going to have to dry. So when you're done putting all this on, we're going to put this aside and let it dry. And I suspect that we're going to have to go into, yeah, it's almost 11 o'clock now. We're going to have to go into next week before we actually start painting on this, because this is going to take a long time to dry. But we can go back and work on the little booklet that we're going to put on the top of this while this is drying this week, and then bring it back next week and we'll do the painting part of it. Okay, after we get the joint compound on this surface, it's going to have to dry overnight. So you're not going to be able to do anything more on this until next time. But what you can do is go back and work on your little book. And to do that, it's the measurements that I have on this book. I mean, it kind of works out with what we're doing is 4 inches by 5 inches. So just cut out of your leather a 4-inch by 5-inch little rectangle and fold it, and then cut some paper out of just copy paper, 2 or 3 sheets, a little bit smaller, about a 1/4 inch smaller, to put inside. Then you can use a hole punch. This is a tiny hole punch to punch holes in the edge of it, and put use some cord, string, or whatever you happen to have around to adhere the little papers inside of the book cover. And then I've just taken some leather cord and put it around a couple times and put my key on it. And that makes a finished little booklet that we'll put on top of this. And somebody was asking, what is the idea behind this? It's called the written page, which I'm thinking that whatever is inside this little book is secret. It's something about the person that they don't want to share with everyone. So you have to have the key to open the page to see what is in their mind. And then the journal page that we're going to be putting on next time is a little more clear, but you can always use collage paper to cover up parts that you don't want someone else to see. So it's kind of talking about what the secret thoughts and feelings that we have inside and how that's displayed in a piece of artwork.